Embedded questions. Do you know where is Josh? Do you know where Josh is? Ping pong. Hello guys, I'm here. This is Josh. Welcome to English Speaking 360. Hey Josh, what is an embedded question? An embedded question is a question that is inside another sentence. For example, I'm not sure where he is from. I wonder if he will come today. Can you tell me where she lives? Do you know what time it is? So here you see the sentence can be a regular sentence or it can be a question. Both forms include embedded questions. Before we start, let's take a closer look at the form. Do you know what time it is? The first part is the introductory phrase, do you know? And that is the main clause of your sentence. The second part is the embedded question, and that is the subordinate clause. But when you put them together, that gives you a complex sentence. So today, I will show you how to make complex sentences with embedded questions. Here are some of the most common introductory phrases that we're going to see in this video. So if you want to ask a question, you can start with, can you tell me? Could you tell me? Do you know? Do you have any idea? Do you remember? Do you happen to know? Would you mind telling me? Or do you think you could? These are very common when you want to ask a question with an embedded question inside. If you want to use a normal sentence, you can say, I know or I don't know. I wonder. I'm not sure. I have no idea. I'd like to know. I can't remember. I was wondering. I don't understand. So today you will see both types of starters in my video. Take a look at these two questions. Where is the restroom? And could you tell me where the restroom is? Which one sounds better? The second one sounds much better because it sounds much more polite, it sounds softer, it sounds less aggressive, and that is why English speakers use embedded questions. So after watching this video, you're going to sound more polite and also more natural. Today I will show you how to turn direct questions into embedded questions. As you can see on the right-hand side, there are many different types and many of them follow different rules. So let me show you how it works. Yes/no questions with do. So these are questions with do, does, or did. For example, does she work here? Does she work here is a yes/no question with the auxiliary does. Now let's try to change that question into an embedded question. Here's the rule to follow. First, you have to fix the verb. If the auxiliary is does, you have to add an S to the verb like we're doing right here. If the auxiliary were did, then you would use the past of the verb. You would use worked with ed at the end. And that is the statement word order. She works here. So for embedded questions, we don't use the question word order. We use the statement word order. Simple sentence word order. Now remove the auxiliary do. In this case, the auxiliary do is does. So we have to remove it because we do not use the auxiliary do in embedded questions. Never, ever. And finally, you have to add an intro phrase and if or whether. Here's how it works. Introductory phrase, do you happen to know? That's a very polite intro phrase. Do you happen to know plus if or whether? So here I'm going to use if because if is much more common. Whether is a little formal, so I'm not going to use it in my video, but you could use whether here instead of if. They have the same meaning, but if is more casual. Do you happen to know if plus the rest of the sentence? So altogether it becomes, do you happen to know if she works here? So that gives you an embedded question within a question. Now, if you want to put it inside a normal sentence, you could reply to that question. Do you happen to know if she works here? I don't know if she works here. That's how it works for simple sentences. It's a little challenging to master, and that's why you need to practice. Here's a question for you. Do we need a reservation? Now try to make an embedded question with could you tell me? Could you tell me if we need a reservation? We need to remove the auxiliary do, but because it's do, there is nothing to change on the verb, so the verb remains the same, need. Does the hotel have a pool? I would like to know. Give it a try at home. Make sure you practice. It's very important to practice. If you don't practice, you will never get it right. I would like to know if the hotel has a pool. Here you can see the auxiliary was does. Does have becomes has after you have fixed the verb. Question 3. Did Samantha call? Do you by any chance know? That is very polite here. Do you by any chance know if Samantha called? You notice here the auxiliary was did, so did call becomes called once you fix the verb. Let's move on to WH questions with do. So these are questions that start with a question word. Here's your example sentence. Where does Judy live? Let me show you how to deal with WH questions with do. First, fix the verb, so you have to follow the same pattern as before. Here you have does, and you have to add an S right here at the end of the verb. Once we have fixed the verb, it becomes the statement word order. Judy lives. Now remove the auxiliary do, just like before. Does is gone. And finally, you need an intro phrase, but you have to keep the WH word. Here's how it works. Introductory phrase, can you tell me? Can you tell me plus the WH word, which is where. And finally, the rest of the sentence. Can you tell me where Judy lives? If you want to answer that question, you could say, I have no idea where Judy lives. And that is a regular sentence. You need to practice. Question 1. Where do you buy your coffee? I'd like to know. I'd like to know where you buy your coffee. In this case, buy doesn't change because it was the auxiliary do. Number 2. What does he want? Do you know? This is a very difficult question and many students get it wrong. Do you know what he wants? In this case, does disappears and the S moves to want, so it becomes wants. Do you know what he wants? Question 3. When did Tom leave the office? And for this one, you should use the boss wants to know. The boss wants to know when Tom left the office. Excellent. Here you see did leave. Did is the past form of the auxiliary do. So that's why we have to use the past form of the verb leave, which is left. Here's something you should be aware of. From number 3 to number 8, they follow the same rules. So if you understand how it works with the verb to be, you will be able to apply the same rules to modals and the auxiliary have. Let's get going. Yes/no questions with be. These are questions with am, are, is, was, or were. For example, is the store open? That's a yes/no question with is. Here's how it works. First, you have to move the verb auxiliary be after the subject. So here you have to find the subject. The subject is store or the store. And you have to move the auxiliary be, which is, after the subject. And that will give you the statement word order. The store is open. After that, you need an intro phrase plus if, just like before. Intro phrase, do you know? Plus if, do you know if? And then your statement word order. Do you know if the store is open? You cannot say, do you know is the store open? That doesn't work, and I hear that all the time, so watch out here. And if you want to reply, you can say, I'm not sure if the store is open. And that is a regular sentence. Now you need to practice. Was the meeting canceled? Try to make a sentence with could you tell me? Could you tell me if the meeting was canceled? So you see here, was the meeting becomes the meeting was. Number 2, am I in the right place? Can you tell me? Can you tell me if I am in the right place? Not am I am. Number 3, is she going to the party? I wonder. I wonder if she's going to the party. Not is she is going. That's very important. WH questions with be. Those are questions that start with question words. Where is the restroom? So here's the rule. Move the verb or auxiliary be after the subject. So here you have to find the subject. The subject is the restroom. Move the auxiliary be, so you have to move is after the subject. It becomes the restroom is, and that is your statement word order. After that, just like before, you add an intro phrase, but you keep the WH word. Let's give it a try. Introductory phrase, can you tell me? Can you tell me plus the question word where? Can you tell me where plus the rest of the sentence? Can you tell me where the restroom is? Not can you tell me where is the restroom? That is not correct, and we hear that all the time. It's a terrible mistake. Be careful here. Is goes after the subject, not before. And if you want to reply to that question, you can say, I have no idea where the restroom is. And that is a simple sentence. You need to practice. Number 1, why was he angry? Can you tell me? Can you tell me why he was angry? He was, not was he. Number 2, where are the car keys? Do you remember? Do you remember where the car keys are? Are goes after the subject car keys. Number 3, why were the players so nervous? I don't understand. I don't understand why the players were so nervous. The verb to be goes after the subject, and the subject is the players. Let's move on to yes-no questions with modal verbs like can, could, will, would, should, must, might, and may. Here's your example. Can he drive? That's a yes-no question with a modal auxiliary verb, can. Now here's the rule. Move the modal after the subject. Just like with the verb to be, I told you it is the same rule, right? So you have to find the subject. The subject is he. And now you have to move the modal verb after the subject. He can drive. He can drive is the statement word order. After that, you just need an intro phrase plus if. Let's do it right here. Do you happen to know? So that's your intro phrase plus if, plus the rest of your sentence in statement word order. Do you happen to know if he can drive? That is a very polite question. And if you want to reply, you can say, I'm not sure if he can drive. And that sentence also contains the same embedded question. You need to practice. Number 1, will they come camping with us? Try to use do you know. Do you know if they will come camping with us? They will instead of will they. Number 2, should I call the doctor? Use I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I should call the doctor. Instead of should I, it becomes I should. Number 3, could I sit here? I was wondering. I was wondering if I could sit here. That sounds very polite. WH questions with modal verbs. What should we do? Here's the rule, and like I said before, it's the same as with the verb to be. So move the modal after the subject. Where's the subject? It is we. We is the subject. So you have to move should after we. And that becomes your statement word order. We should do. After that, intro phrase and keep the WH word. Let's do it together. Do you know? Do you know plus the WH word? What? Do you know what? Plus your statement word order. Do you know what we should do? That's an excellent question. And if you want to reply, I really don't know what we should do. You need to practice. Number 1, where can I park? Could you tell me? Could you tell me where I can park? Number 2, when will the package arrive? Do you know? Do you know when the package will arrive? The package is your subject and will goes after the subject. Number 3, what would you recommend? I'd like to know. I'd like to know what you would recommend. Did you get them right? I sure hope so. Yes/no questions with have. So these are questions with the auxiliary have, has, or had. Here's an example. Has she finished lunch? This is a present perfect question. Here's the rule, and it is the same rule as before. Move the auxiliary have after the subject. So what is your subject here? It is she. So now you have to move has after she, and it becomes your statement word order. She has finished lunch. Just like before, intro phrase plus if. Let's do it together. Do you know? Do you know if? And then the rest of your sentence. Do you know if she has finished lunch? And when you reply, you can say, I have no idea if she has finished lunch. That's a perfect statement with an embedded question. You need to practice. Have you heard the news? Try to use tell me. Tell me if you have heard the news. Has the movie started yet? Do you know? Do you know if the movie has started yet? Had you met him before the party? Do you remember? Do you remember if you had met him before the party? WH questions with have. Here's your example. Why has Julia quit her job? The rule is the same as before. Move the auxiliary have after the subject. So here the subject is Julia. Move the auxiliary have after Julia. Julia has quit her job is your statement word order. Now you need an intro phrase like this one. Do you have any idea? And keep the WH word, why, plus the rest of your sentence. Do you have any idea why Julia has quit her job? I don't understand why Julia has quit her job. You need to practice. What have you done? Try to use do you have any idea? Do you have any idea what you have done? That is something we say very often. Number 2, what has he decided? Would you mind telling me? Would you mind telling me what he has decided? Number 3, why had nobody told me about this before? This one is a little more challenging. Use I don't understand. I don't understand why nobody had told me about this before. Now, subject questions with who, what, where, when, and how. For example, who broke the window? Here's the rule. First, nothing changes. In this sentence, who is the subject? So this question is already in the statement word order, subject, verb, complement. And that's why nothing changes. And then you need an intro phrase and you need to keep the WH word. Let's do it together. Do you know is your intro phrase. Who is your WH word. And then the rest of the sentence. Do you know who broke the window? The subject questions are the easiest type of embedded questions because nothing changes. You just add an intro phrase. Here's another example. I don't know who broke the window. Let's practice. What happened? Do you know? Do you know what happened? Nothing changes. 2. Who wrote this email? Can you tell me? Can you tell me who wrote this email? 3. What made her so upset? I wonder. I wonder what made her so upset. Easy, isn't it? And now it's quiz time. Try to correct the mistakes. Here's the first sentence, and it is not correct. Do you know where did they go? Can you make it right? The answer is, do you know where they went? Because did go becomes went. Give yourself 1 point if you got it right. Question 2. Can you tell me if are they married? Oh, that sounds very wrong. The correct question is, can you tell me if they are married? Not are they married, they are married. The statement word order. Question 3. Do you know she has eaten? You should be able to correct this one easily. Do you know if she has eaten? You need if when it is a yes-no question. 1 point. Question 4. Can you tell me who is he? We hear that pretty often, so make sure you don't say this. Instead, you should say, can you tell me who he is? Is goes after the subject. Question 5. I wonder if should we wait? Here's the correct version. I wonder if we should wait. We should wait is the statement word order. Question 6. Can you tell me where is the bathroom? Very common mistake here, and the correct version is, can you tell me where the bathroom is? Once again, is goes after the subject. Question 7. I wonder if do they sell coffee? The correct way to say it is, I wonder if they sell coffee. They sell coffee is the statement word order, and you have to remove the auxiliary do. You never keep the auxiliary do in embedded questions. Question 8. Can you tell me what should we do? That almost sounds correct, but it's not. Can you tell me what we should do? We should do is the statement word order. In an embedded question, you cannot have the question word order. Question 9. Do you know what does this mean? I've heard this one many times. The correct way is, do you know what this means? Does mean put together becomes means when you fix the verb and you have to remove the does. 1 point if you got it right. Question 10. Could you tell me if did she call? The right version is, could you tell me if she called? Did call becomes called when you fix the verb. Excellent. Did you get 10 out of 10? I sure hope so. And if you need extra practice, visit my website, EnglishSpeaking360.com. It's 100% free. Don't forget also to check out the other videos on the right-hand side. They are very good. See you next time. Bye-bye.